And good evening, free enterprise fans, video game speedrunning lovers, people who've wandered in on Twitch, and everybody else who's out there and loves having a great race. My name is Tall Grant, and it is my pleasure to welcome you to this Blue Moon Waning match between Eninja81 and BeautyInDiscovery. I'm joined today on the restream by Dathis, who is putting everything together, making it look beautiful, our button pusher, the sheep launcher, and of course my esteemed friend in the booth, Mike34. Mike, how's it today?
Everything is wonderful, and we are in round 4, Blue Moon Waning. You know what that means?
It's time for us to run around out and go crazy.
Oh yes, of course, and excited. I'm hyped for this, and it means that our runners have really weathered the storm and have advanced pretty far into this tournament. So great shout outs to both Ninja and Beauty. Both runners have had the pleasure of running against quite a few times, and Ninja in the Pink Puff League.
Well, yeah, Ninja is a stalwart of the Pink Puff League, and famed for knowing things, and also quite the force on the ladder, especially during Mystery Seed times. And of course, BeautyInDiscovery has been in the community for some time, actually co-captains the Film Friends Club, which I highly recommend checking out, and has been quite an excellent runner as well. So the two of them are going to be facing in the Waning bracket, and that means that this is an elimination match. The winner gets to continue in the Waning bracket, while the loser will be done with the tournament. So both of them have a lot to play for, both of them have a lot of heart, and I think we're going to see a lot of neat things tonight in this race. So I see on our screen we have a Cecil start. How do you think that's going to affect our seed today?
Oh, there's a lot of interesting things here. We got Cecil. We have a bunch of Red Moon bosses. This is looking familiar as a Red Moon player myself. I think we'll see what our other starting characters are, see if we get enough early damage and power to maybe tackle ordeals early, or see if the runners choose to build their power a little bit before going to get that paladin online.
Well, I think a great marsupial once said that if you've got the guy, you got to put the thing in his hands. So I think what we're going to see tonight is an interesting race to how quickly we can be prepared to go up ordeals, transform Cecil into a paladin, and get him one of those big holy swords that make him so wonderful. Well, I see from the dark screens that we are appearing to start, so good luck to our runners. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. We hope we have a great race in front of you, and let's have a great time. Cecil will be joined by the Black Mage Palom.
Ooh, and guards, which we need some variety of. So that may be a required Baron key we need.
And a pass as well, which actually makes some of the decision making a little bit easier. It kind of opens us up to go up to the moon and not feel bad that we may have to come back because we have that shortcut to get to Zeromas. But with that guards, there are actually two sprites that appear that way with the blue, one of which is our required guard boss, the other of which is the Kaipo guards, the officer and the soldiers, which, while a fairly easy fight, won't be really getting us what we need. So let's figure out where they're opening. Mike, where do you like to go looking for loot in a T-Wildish seed like this?
With Cecil, I definitely like to go to Eblin, scope out where the bosses are, get some of that really nice loot, and then just come back to get my holy sword. But in this seed, looking at the bosses, I kind of want a rune axe too.
Well, I tell you who uses a rune axe, that cane that Eninja just found hanging out in Mysidia. That's normally the home of mages, but there's two Malay characters there for it. Meanwhile, Beauty has found a little scoop of vanilla with the twin harp coming from Bedward, and we're already seeing a bit of an interesting difference in approach to the seed by these runners. Beauty is going to Bedward and doing some preliminary looting, not worrying about characters, but trying just to get enough items to get off the ground. Ninja is starting by checking characters, and in fact, unless I miss my guess, Ninja's headed for Watery Pass next.
Oh, that's absolutely right. And this is a good loot spot too, even if you only wanted half of it. Loot's weighted pretty heavy here, especially behind the waterfall. Getting a little bit of plus strength for this very punch-happy party. We do have Palom and the Punch Mage, but I'd say more punch than not. And we do have an Anchor / Leviathan caster, depending on how our runners prefer to use her.
Well, I've seen two incredible pieces of loot so far. On Beauty's side, there is a wonderful Sork rope that is going to make Palom quite powerful. And Palom is a fairly popular black mage, seeing as how quickly he will get some of the useful spells like Quake, and how much faster he will get Nuke than, say, the Radia that Ninja just found in the Watery Pass. Ninja, however, found a defense sword, and if that's not enough goodness to go with it, a strength ring. That'll look really, really good on Kane until we can get up ordeals, and be a great placeholder until Cecil finds something better. Defense sword is arguably the best weapon that Kane will find, and I'm sure that both runners will find it. Well, if we have anybody who's watching who hasn't seen Blue Moon, do you want to explain some of the basic concepts of this tournament?
Yeah, Blue Moon has a little more favorable elements than Red Moon. The loot is T Wildish, max tier 7, so you can find all kinds of good stuff. The Bedward has a key item, and also when our runners get to Dwarf Castle, they're going to be to utilize the Warp Glitch and get the key item that's usually in the sealed cave right there. I also, by the way, as why we were talking about loot, saw some Hanzo steel on that waterfall. So
Well,
if Edge is on ordeals, then that could be helpful.
well, we can talk about that Hanzo steel, but we have Palom in the party, and we have actually found probably the best rod we can give to him, especially for this early game, that Stardust rod. I think Beauty pulled that out of the public treasury in Troya, and you can see that the first required boss of our seed is that CPU at Miss Cave. Beauty was able to take it out with one attack with base level Palom because of the Stardust effect that you can use the rod for. So great treasure, great find, and a great little early lead for him.
Yeah, not only does it give you best in slot for plus wisdom, but as you see early game, it has a pretty powerful attack using the Stardust that will pierce wall as well as about anything else you're going to meet early on.
Well, I would say the scary thing about this party, though, I'm not seeing a white mage yet.
No. So we'll see what is on ordeals. There's a lot of interesting things now. I mean, we have that Hanzo steel in play. We have, hey, we need a white mage, and there's always the telefactor to see what kind of grind we might need. That character's gonna play pretty pivotal.
Well, and so for those of you who have not been watching a whole lot of the ZZ5 tournament, Fusoya is restricted in this seed. In fact, the only way we'll see him in Blue Moon is if he is the starting character, and since we obviously started with Cecil, he is not. Meanwhile, Eninja finds King and Queen Evelyn down in the Antlion Cave. I didn't quite see the waterfall boss on Beauty's side, but it was
another punch mage.
Ah, well, sometimes that Spider-Man Yang likes to point at himself, and that's the situation here.
I'm seeing in chat there was a power shirt as well. So we got power shirt, we got a strength ring. If we get a holy sword and Evelyn, that Cecil's going to be ready to go.
Well, and there's a karate shirt for Kane to wear too. That's a poor man's power shirt with just a smaller strength bonus on it. But that's, it's not something to sneeze at either. And this could be a fairly high damage party. It's just a matter of that healing. Eninja discovers that the rat tail is waiting in Antlion Cave, and Eninja will then be making the walk out of Antlion Cave. Meanwhile, Beauty stopping by Mysidia to pick up the two characters. He's going to find his Kane and his Yang.
All right, so where are you going here? Are you going to the mountain yet, or do you think we'll get a football check?
For me, I suspect Beauty's going to go up the mountain. I think we're going to see a football check out of Ninja would be my guess. These two runners, by the way, if you haven't, these two runners are both great follows. These are people I have been watching for a long time. They're both fairly entertaining channels and just a lot of fun. So I would highly encourage you to go check them out. I believe we can give them a bit of a shout out in the channel. I will warn you that BeautyInDiscovery actually races under the name The Queen is Lost, but Eninjas can be found under Eninja81. But a lot of fun, a great chance to get to know people in the community and people who've been around and give you advice on how various things work.
I'd be a little bit tempted by that ogre axe for sale. We have some powerful weaponry, but if we are going to be doing Evelyn, there are 3 bad guy punch mages in there that don't like that ogre axe.
No, and that makes that Mad Ogre chest a lot easier. BeautyInDiscovery has actually decided to do Cave Antlion before he goes up ordeals. Meanwhile, Eninja discovers Golbez, another required boss of ours. So Golbez is going to have a little bit of a speech and laugh at us some, but good news on Eninja's side to get that first boss out of the way and done.
I mean, Dathis loves vanilla, and he does attack here, so this is vanilla adjacent. Which vanilla maybe?
Well, for those of you who like recurring jokes, Golbez has them. He tells the same ones every time, and I'm not sure anybody gets a chuckle out of him besides Golbez and myself, frankly. But I do have a couple of pieces of new material if he's ever willing to accept it.
I'm sure he's had a storied career and he's probably ready to pass the torch.
Well, spoiler, the line ends with poof, you're a sandwich. Anyway, Shadow has come out and done his damage, and he has left Palom alive, which is probably ideal, except for the fact that Palom is going to be a little bit slow here. So the real question is, can Eninja get those Star Veils off to reflect whatever magic attack is coming?
Yeah, well, it's a countdown to Quake for Palom, and that's probably not going to hit it today.
No, but Cecil's going to be strong enough to take it through. Unfortunately, when Cecil goes up Mount Ordeals and resets to level 1, he will lose any experience he picks up from the fight. But the time lost could be pretty bad if you were to wipe here, so I'm sure that Eninja's happy with it. And we'll see him make an attempt to get Palom back up to get some levels on him.
That life play is daring, because if Golbez is 50-50 here, chooses to hit Palom, then he'll go down, but he doesn't. And see if he gets a second veil off. He does. Okay, look at that. Palom's getting XP.
Yep. BeautyInDiscovery gets through the fight with the Antlion Cave with King Queen Evelyn, receives his rat tail. Chad has also pointed out that BeautyInDiscovery has left his Rydia face down in the dirt. Why would he do such a thing with a powerful black mage like Rydia?
I guess he just doesn't like Rydia.
Wow.
She only has 30 HP. Maybe he thinks, just not worth it as a character.
Well, or hear me out on this. Maybe the developers did some interesting programming things with the speed of the seed, and since we determine our battle speed based on the character in the center slot, if we put a slow character there, everyone else is pretty fast by comparison. So maybe Beauty has made a strategic decision to keep Rydia as an anchor.
So having 4 agility actually makes her maybe the most powerful character in the game to be face down.
Could be quite a boost for the other characters on the team, especially as the seed proceeds.
It's a really tough decision to make on these flags, because we're going to go through the hook route, and if there's a Leviathan anywhere, sometimes that is your best power, and if she's down, she can't cast Leviathan.
Well,
so
or let alone a Bahamut summon, which is quite the fun way to Mega Nuke.
Oh yeah, that's right. I've been playing Red Moon and forgot what a Bahamut summon was, but you're absolutely right. That is super powerful.
Well, meanwhile, BeautyInDiscovery considers going to Fabul, but instead heads up Ordeals, just as Eninja makes the same check. So we are about, folks, to find our last character of this Blue Moon Seed. This will be all that we find today, and if we do not have anybody with white magic, it could be interesting times for us.
Yeah, it could be. This is going to have a big... Oh, it's Edge! Okay,
it's
so
Edge.
We don't have a Tella, so no D-Machine Grind. We don't have a proper white mage other than Yang, who just got yeeted. Rydia can learn Asura, which is a 66% chance heal. But we are going to get some Hanzo Steel, and that's kind of like mage in the sense that everything is going to...
And that appears to be a Lilith Rod as well for BeautyInDiscovery, which is would be a very nice pickup for Palom, except he's already got a Stardust Rod, which is a little bit better. But Yo Dog, I hear you like damage-dealing parties. This party, as they get going, is going to be able to output some major numbers, and so it's really just a matter of being able to burn down a boss before it can get you.
Really like that Mute Knife on Edge. That's going to come in pretty handy in this seed. We've seen a Mute Knife determine quite a few races.
Well, to tell you the truth, Edge and a Mute Knife is the solution to several problems that occur when you go to Castle Eblin with the trap chests. Meanwhile, Lord Helmet, did I see you playing with your dolls again? Because apparently we have the Calbrena dolls in the first spot up on Mount Ordeals.
You think the Mute Knife might just be good for mage weak bosses, but it can sometimes make the difference when you're flaming enemies too. It doesn't here with a Cal and Brenna, but it gives a little bit of a plus wisdoms. It should be doing a little more damage.
Well, you can see Eninja's having similar thoughts regarding the Rydia to BeautyInDiscovery. He actually takes the time to take her down during this fight to make sure that she is taking a nice little nap while the rest of the things go on. Meanwhile, both runners make use of great J items in that fight. BeautyInDiscovery with a Gaia Drum and Eninja with a Lightning Bolt.
Keeping her an anchor makes a lot of sense here, because if you don't get your Holy Sword in Eblin somehow, it loves... Oh, we got
this is
Blarg at back attack.
This is a required fight, but this is an unpleasant spot for it. That Wyvern is very, very fast in this spot because of the back attack. It automatically sets the battle speed on it fairly high. But it appears both runners don't have too much of a problem with it. They both actually, I think, lowered their battle speed just in case this would happen, and are getting their Star Veils up to make sure they get through the fight.
And our hook isn't here, so we're running out of options.
That's true.
To get that. And to finish my thought, after we finish Eblin, if we don't have a Holy Sword, we could do Sylph Traps with RA1 Palom only with Rydia or a Curse String, because Palom doesn't get that much agility, but with only 4 agility on Rydia to make it happen.
Well, I will point out, Mike, despite the fact each runner only has 2 bosses, they are not the same 2 bosses. We have found 3 required bosses on the overworld. This seed, I don't know. I wonder if Deathus has somewhere to be tonight.
It's true, yeah. It's pretty good to have 3 bosses already. And I'm wondering if Beauty will fade Fabul till after Underworld to save the time from double dipping.
Well, here's another dose of vanilla. We have the Legend Sword coming to us inside the mirror room.
Death strikes again. And that is pretty interesting in that that's half a forge, so we're getting all kinds of Holy Sword possibilities.
Well, the fun question I like to ask in this situation is, if you manage to find the adamant, are you tempted at all to go down and visit Kokol to see what kind of weapon he can make for you?
Yeah, he can make all kinds of great stuff on this. You can get a Lightbringer, you can get a Piggy Stick.
Well, I'm going to go ahead and put my prediction in front of everybody right now. If anybody chooses to go Forge, we are going to receive an Apollo Harp for an Edward that is Sir not appearing in this seed. Meanwhile, we have a nice Rubicant who has got the leg out for us, but unfortunately is in a fairly low power spot and is just absolutely torched by the runners.
Yeah, only 1,000 HP. He's going down pretty quick. Yeah, I like to see both runners kind of in the same spot right now.
Well, to tell you the truth, as a runner, I like having Wyvern off the table, having Golbez off the table, having Ruby off the table, having CPU off the table. Those are all bosses that in places like the hook route, especially in the second slot, can be really obnoxious. And the more of those that are out of the pool, the easier the hook route is likely to be.
If we don't have a hook and Baron, music might be on the table as well.
Oh, and that's a reward for everybody in chat. It's lovely to see the harp song, especially because we randomize that as well. We don't know what music Edward will choose to play on the harp, but it is almost always a banger, and it's fun to see.
Right, if Eddie can't be on our side in the seed battling things, we should at least hear his groovy tunes.
All right, BeautyInDiscovery is making his way toward Baron Inn. I think he wants to get some levels and maybe push Cecil up on a slingshot before we go to take a look at Castle Eblin. Let's see what Ninja has in mind for today. Ninja wants to stop back in Mysidia again. I don't know if that's a character swap or if he's just going shopping.
Yeah, we'll see.
Where did the Darkness Crystal come from? Was that in... I must have completely missed that. Was that in Fabul?
Ninja did Fabul and Beauty didn't, so it had to been.
Do you think he's making a shop check here?
Could be a number of things. You know what else he could be doing? We could get a hairdryer sneaky check here. That's a pretty high percentage play for a sword, and it's a lot of XP. It'll get your team ready for the hook route right away.
That would be really exciting, especially because I haven't seen that done a ton in these seeds, and I'm really curious to see how well it would pay out, both in experience and in the potential item. BeautyInDiscovery discovers that the hanging out casually in front of Baron Inn is an evil wall, followed by Leviathan. Both of these should be no problem. Beauty's elected to get rid of the shuriken he picked up earlier, and that Cecil was hitting for less than 100 points of damage. I'm guessing that defense sword is still on Kane.
With See No Earned, sadly, there's no character on the moon to be had, so we're not getting a moon character today.
Oh, Cecil, I'm told, has a fire sword, which that's not a very good weapon for him.
Well done, the final hit, and we have our hook.
We have the hook. Music is not necessarily required. I think Beauty still has also not been to Fabul, so we have 2 overworld checks still open. Meanwhile, Eninja is shopping.
That's really paying off, too, because we have Bacchus wines, and we have a pretty heavy Zerker seed, and no white mage. So if you're going to be Zerking today without an Avenger, you are going to the moon, or you're looting a bunch of chests.
Well, huge heads-up play by Ninja, and it looks like it's paying out from right away. Beauty spikes a cursed ring in a pot inside Barren Town.
That's really nice. Now you can get your levels on your Rydia, or even if you're so bold to drop her for a different character.
Well, for those of you who are unaware, the Cursed Ring, I believe, is minus 15 points to all stats. You might ask yourself, why would the developers in the vanilla game make a Cursed Ring that does such a thing? The reason is if you can pair that Cursed Ring with a piece of resisting gear, it'll turn the resist from that gear into an absorb. So against certain bosses that do elemental damage, if you have a Cursed Ring in the right gear, you can make it so you're practically unhittable.
And we could maybe see that today with Mega Sisters on the table.
That's true, provided they don't virus us, because unfortunately that's not elemental. Beauty, I think, is going to make a quick stop at Eblin Castle to look for a Holy Sword for Cecil, but I think Beauty is committing to fading Fabul, which is interesting knowing that that Darkness Crystal is there and that Bacchus Wine is behind it. I think that the time Ninja spent doing that is going to be made up here.
Yeah, it's also nice, I feel like, on these seeds to get some extra XP on your characters before the hook route. Especially Palom, who
but you know,
Quake.
While we mentioned that, there is one other way that you can get Bacchus Wine.
Oh yeah, with Edge here, we can actually steal from said punch mages.
If we find the Mad Ogre chest, they actually carry it, and seeing as this is a well-programmed, well-thought-out game, they have infinitely deep pockets with an infinite number of Bacchus Wines, so the longer you can stay in the fight, the more you can take from them. This would be a little bit easier if we'd found hourglasses.
And they're mages, so that mute knife can do some hefty work.
Well, Beauty liking his loot well enough to step outside, either that or a little bit nervous about wiping to a chest in here.
Yeah, like you said, we have no hourglasses, we have no white mages. Probably a little apprehensive of what can happen.
Yeah, this is going to be a little bit of a scary fight. Meanwhile, Leviathan is taking a nice wave over at Eninja on his side. I think the darts on Beauty sped up this fight significantly. And here, speaking of, here are the Mad Ogres. So Beauty appears to be electing to fight them. There should be a fairly big stat bonus. Mad Ogres are classified both as mages and as ogres. So if you have either type of gear, they take the damage. And Edge, of course, is rocking that mute knife, so he'll do fairly well. So here comes Stop on Palom. It doesn't last quite as long as I think you'd like it to, but he'll get a chance to steal a couple Bacchus Wines if that's where he's headed, and I think that's what he's doing. So interesting.
With that Cecil down, that stop was a pivotal play by Beauty, because that's going to buy him some time to get some people up. If he chooses, get some life glitches off, and yeah, both of these.
Eninja receives his hook, however, Eninja has not found the Twin Harp yet, so interesting choices on his side if whether he's going to take the time to go visit Bedward or not.
Are you taking Harp in this scenario?
I wouldn't. The problem with Harp, as much as we love the check and as much as we love seeing Edward, is it's a very time-consuming check. You have to walk all the way down there, you have to watch through the cutscene, and then you have to spend some time fighting a boss who is magic resistant and will take a little bit of time. I think it's when you're going to see the runners most likely fade. Eninja looks like he wants to turn in the rat tail.
Yeah, and I saw Beauty with a little bit of muscle memory. They're knocking Rydia down. We have a Cursed Ring now, so we don't have to do it, but sometimes you're just used to not giving her XP.
Well,
Plus we're setting up a slingshot.
Well, Beauty feeling good about how that fight went. Murasame is given by the Tail Collector. That's what he's trading today. What was the reward there for Beauty? A crystal sword. Trigger. That's the payout.
Why? That is why we come to Eblin. We have Super Cecil on.
Well, and you can see Beauty checking to see if Cecil has earned exit yet. He hasn't, so we're going to be walking out. But frankly, that's your looting. That's what you're here for.
Yeah, and we might not even see... Oh, he is doing some more chests. But sometimes you see that crystal sword and it just buy. We also got some more Hanzo steel from that rat tail turn-in.
And a Herald.
So Edge is rocking the seed too. Let's see if Ninja goes after that crystal sword.
Ninja, I think, is heading to check Bedward, as he has not done that to this point. Staleman Skull and Skulls, a little bit scary, but with that flame magic from Edge, that usually takes care of the skulls. Edge, of course, low rolls it a little bit, and Cecil not quite hitting as hard as we'd like. Did we equip the crystal sword yet?
Let's see. I'll check. I was reading chat. There's a question: isn't darkness also gated behind the hook, or is it you just can't find magma on the moon? Yeah, the magma key is going to be underground today, or gated by underground.
Yeah, the Force Hook is designed to make it so you absolutely have to take the hook route. Palom earning Virus over on Beauty's side, and there's an X-Cal, which would normally be lovely for Cecil, but now it's going to be something that Edge can toss. Ninja deciding he wants to clear the overworld, and he is going to go check that Twin Harp.
Okay, our first real large divergence, other than the moon play. This could be big. If there's a boss here, that's going to put Ninja in a pretty clear advantage. If not, then it's about a 4-minute detriment.
Beauty stopping to shop. The gated shops, of course, are weighted a little bit better. You'll find more things that you can use in them. Some of the really key items you will look for in these are hourglasses, Bacchus wine, which of course Ninja saw. I'm not sure Beauty even looked in the store to purchase anything. I just saw him sell.
Yeah, we got 5 coffins and 5 hourglasses purchased, which might have helped in the save a little bit of time prior, but then you lose time walking in there. So it's a trade-off. You have to decide if you have enough power to get through, and he felt that he did.
Well, and then of course coffins and sirens, which are the key to grinding, which sirens are very good and a lot of runners love them and they're great to depend on, but 10% of the time they still don't show up. And then things can be a bit interesting to find an alternate grind.
Right, without Tella, sirens loom a little bit larger, but we do have someone who can steal sirens if we find ourselves in those straits.
Yep, Edge can take those from the sirens down in Lower Babel. Meanwhile, we're going to get our first peek at one of the bosses on the hook route. We get a nice preview during a cutscene here, and it's in an obnoxious mom bomb.
Yeah, that hourglass purchase helps quite a bit here, because while you can't use an hourglass on Mom Bomb proper, once she explodes, you can use the little bombs have the boss bit, so that's really helpful too. And you know what, Ninja? Tall Grant, what I'm wondering is, how are we healing?
Well, that's the thing. I don't see either of our runners having purchased things like Cure 2s, and the problem with a fight against something like Mom Bomb is it's a very punchy fight, and it's a very long fight, especially not just because there's the 25,000 hit points native to this spot, but an extra bonus that Mom Bomb gets wherever it lands. Well, I think, though, before we can expound too much on it, we probably need to be quiet. We've got a little music coming from Edward.
Yeah, I better not talk over music again, as much as it delights Possum.
Well, we hope you all enjoy this song. And Eninja successfully completes the fight against Antlion, who somehow made his way down from the moon to come and join, protect the cave there. You can definitely see, though, that Eninja had a bit of a rough time with the healing in that fight due to the lack of having a white mage to help heal the party. Meanwhile, BeautyInDiscovery, after backrow glitching his Cecil, has found Dr. Luge, who wants to have a nice conversation with us.
That was a spooky Antlion fight too. We barely got through, and then we got only a life staff, so that's gonna change the trajectory for Ninja. Probably feeling a bit behind. We'll see if he makes any plays accordingly to make up time later.
Well, meanwhile, BeautyInDiscovery, taking a quick check of the Mad Ogre chest on his way down the hook route, found a second X-Cal, but Balnab has had a little bit of a malfunction, so Dr. Luge decided to manually take control of things.
Okay, so while we were listening to music, I came up with a couple theories. Can you rate them for me, Tolgrant?
I will rate them like we rate the treasury, sir.
Theory 1. Antlion thought that this was the moon because it looks a lot like the moon where the Dark Elf is.
I give that a 3 out of 10.
Okay. I got that. That's not the better of the two theories. The better of the two theories is a healing solution for the party. Cecil, Cure 2, go.
Oh, 10 out of 10. That put a white shirt on Cecil and watch him go.
Yeah, so there we go. That problem solved. And looks like, are we skipping Evelyn?
Eninja has skipped Evelyn and is currently not using any sort of the big holy swords on Cecil. We know they're out there. The seed has kind of fallen over themselves to give them to us. So the curiosity is, will Eninja stop and grab that trap chest on the way down and be rewarded for it?
Do you kind of like the way he's purchasing? Yes, and going back, getting like we mentioned earlier, doing the shopping to make those fights a bit quicker. Is going to be rewarded with quick fights and multiple holy swords.
Well, our astute tracker, Sheep Launcher, is pointing out that an Ashura summon is all you need to do healing. However, you have to find it first, Sheep Launcher. That's the real key to it. But speaking of which, I would be remiss if I didn't give a shout out to our broadcast team because I've got a fine group of people working with me tonight who are actually all great follows for you to check out. So you'll see their names and stuff in the chat, but Davis has been running the stream, doing all the magic. We, of course, have Sheep Launcher, who's watching everything, keeping us honest and making sure to correct any things that come out of Mike and my mouth that's incorrect. And, of course, Mike's a fun stream. It's worth your time. All these people are worth a great follow, and you should probably check it out. I mean, it's free after all.
And Tolgrant as well. Not only with the dulcet tones on the mic, but also a runner of this game, too, that you'll want to see at some point.
Well, Eninja checking that Mad Ogre chest, which is going to pay him out handsomely and get him that crystal sword. Meanwhile, BeautyInDiscovery starting work on that Mom Bomb, and we are throwing everything that we've found at this thing. Those Slumber Swords are really, really not great gear for any, Cecil and Kane can use them, but they're just so awful for them. But having Edge throw them for 1500 damage, that's pretty solid.
We have a question in chat asking what teams we have. We got Crystal Sword Cecil, we got Hanzo Steel, Edge, Stardust Rod, Palom, Anchor, Iridias, we got Curse Strings if we want, ready to get levels, and Defense Sword, Kane. On the bench we have Yang and, was it Sid?
I believe Yang and a Sid, yes. And I believe, I'm not 100% sure Ninja found that cursed ring that Beauty did, that was sitting out in one of the pots in Baron. So
they both got it.
Oh, they did both get it. Well, it gives them a lot of options, but both of them are electing to keep Rydia kind of knocked down as long as possible, which if that Ashura summon comes up, they might come back to regret. But that nice anchoring can be quite helpful. You can see just from the amount of time Beauty is really laying into this Mom Bomb, doing a ton of damage to it, and we still haven't reached out of the first form. This is a long fight, and it's even longer without the ability to Berserk Cecil.
Maybe both runners keeping Rydia on the ground is a philosophical choice. Maybe.
Well, it's you practice what you want to do in the race, and then you execute what you know. And you can't always guarantee you're going to find that cursed ring. The Mom Bomb is exploding. If we survive this explosion, I think that hourglass will make the rest of this trivia. And Beauty's thinking about it, and I think here it comes.
I don't know that I saw the hourglass used.
Yeah, he did. He just had edge throat.
Okay, all right, because I think we have enough defense here to get through all the punches, but I always get nervous when I got 6 things attacking me.
Well, I take it back. Edge had it queued up, and he took quite a few hits before it came out.
Oh, okay, good. So we also have back row Cecil, so it'll take a lot of bombs and explosions to take this team out.
Well, there may be one other equalizer coming up for Eninja, and that is his Palin's a little higher level. I'm not sure if his Palin will be up to Quake when we get here, but I know that would make this fight go a little bit faster. But Beauty should be safely through here, and as long as he can avoid any other pitfalls, the rest of the seed should be going pretty smoothly for him.
Also, Ninja's going to pick up some time every fight using all those Bacchus wines. So even though Beauty is about through this hook route, Ninja has that in his back pocket too.
Well, and I will also point out, Ninja has 2 checks on Beauty in the overworld, one of which is going to be required. That Fabul check with Golbez is something that Beauty's going to need to do, and regardless of how overleveled your party is, that is a time-consuming fight.
That's a great point.
Beauty is through Mom Bomb and moving forward with the hook route, and what did I say about avoiding pitfalls?
Yeah, you shouldn't step there. I'll warn Ninja when he gets there and see if we can do better.
Well, we'll see. Meanwhile, a very unpleasant Baigen sitting on top of the tower. That is an ugly boss that you would just as soon not fight.
It's a punchy boss, all right. And the magic isn't so strong there, but the punches are going to hurt. And that 33 minutes through the hook route is pretty respectable. So
no, that's a solid time through the hook route. I think Beauty's probably feeling pretty good about it. I will say, though, Baigen can be manageable as long as your white mage can put out enough healing to deal with it.
I do like that Ninja, after getting the crystal sword, didn't look like he spent too much more time in Eblin, which we know is a good play to help make up some time.
Ninja grabbing a save, I think we're going to be looking a little bit more for another chest or 2 to get some experience before we do the rest of the hook route. Meanwhile, Beauty found a couple sirens in his starting kit and is going to go crack a few eggs.
I must have got 1 extra. We had 3 eggs, and this is a good play, because even with the crystal sword, there are things, especially at Dwarf, where maybe if you're going down to the Fey March, that can cause you problems. So I'm going to get our HP totals up quite a bit. Everyone's still keeping Rydia down.
Well, I would say probably the most important thing here, though, is something that since you've been running a lot of Red Moon, you may not be familiar with getting to do. But we happen to have a little thing called Warp Glitch turned on.
Ooh.
And Palom, I believe, requires level 29 in order to use it. Mike, for the folks at home, do you want to explain what Warp Glitch does?
Yes, so there is a crystal behind King Giat that in the regular game you can't get to. It's guarded away, you're never getting to it, and by the time you do get there, Golbez takes it. If you use a warp glitch, though, you go back in time, I guess, canonically, and you're able to go in there, pick up that item, which is normally the Luca key item, and have it basically get 2 key items out of Dwarf, and the potential to fade Luca other than the boss that's down there.
Well, and you can see as soon as Beauty has that warp pop up on Palin's learned spell list, he's on his way to Dwarf Castle. So Dwarf Castle has 2 bosses, hopefully 2 key items for it, and we have a Lunar Sparkle, which, based on our boss list, we found the only one that's required. So what fun thing could await us here?
If we didn't heal, then Ogo is interesting.
Ogo, with the lack of white mage, Ogo is going to be a fairly unpleasant fight. Especially if it's in a high hit point spot, like a relatively high hit point spot like this one. Of course, I think what you hold out. Oh, and here it is. We did heal, but this is. Yeah, but if this fight goes on too long, it's going to be a bad time for everybody.
This is one of those times you want the Bacchus wine. But we do have a get out of danger free card in that Excal.
Well, the other thing is the having the hit points reduced like this in the party rolling into the second boss is always a little bit scary on top of it as well, because there could be something that's going to throw out a nasty area attack at the beginning of the fight, and we could have a unhappy time here. Some of these back-to-back bosses, especially with Ogo in the front half of them, can be really dangerous, and in fact that third big wave is going to make this really iffy.
We didn't want to see the third wave. Now,
no.
Now not only do we have low HP total and looming next wave, which we get by, but we have Wombo potential with the third boss. Now, he doesn't have many HP. We have a lot of damage potential, but the wrong boss could cause problems.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, well, Ninja, we forgot to... Okay, we're okay. We didn't warn him about the... Got to warn him about the pitfall.
We'll warn him about the pitfall before it gets there. We have a second sparkle, so we got either Plague, D-Lunars, or Pale Dim.
Plague is fine here. Pale Dim's okay. D-Lunars, okay. Plague.
Plague is fine. This will be something that should be pretty survivable, and the damage out of Sea Salt is just going to wreck Plague's day. I don't think this is going to be a fair fight.
And we're slow anchored. Normally, that's not so great for the first slot, but here it's going to be ideal. Because that countdown's going slow, low HP totals, we can get Kane up and get our XP and our key items.
Well, so I'm sure Beauty's breathing a sigh of relief. Meanwhile, Eninja decides to engage in long discussions with Dr. Luggage and his trusty Balnab.
Balnab is angry about something. Maybe that Ready is on the floor.
So we get the classical red hand today that is going to go to steal the dwarf crystal. And once the dwarf crystal is taken, then we'll see if Luca's found something creative to hang around her neck today. Well, here we are at 40 minutes. You're through your two bosses at dwarf. Are you at all concerned because I don't think the runners quite feel a time pressure, seeing as both of them skipped a required boss up on the overworld, Ninja not checking Miss Cave, and Beauty not going to Fabul. So I don't think they've seen everything that's out there. A white spear for Kane, which is arguably Kane's best weapon. There's some discussion to be had whether it or Defense Sword is better based on accuracy versus damage.
I don't like the drag person, but hey, it's Kane time. Everything Kane, and that dwarf wasn't that helpful.
No, almost everything in Dwarf did not help us get progress in this seed, and it feels bad, man. That's generally not a very good feeling, so Beauty's going to see if he can redeem his time here with a little shopping.
The one thing is, if you have Edge, those are both pretty good darts, and also pretty good money.
Well, there's a Rune Axe. That's a fantastic item for Cecil or Kane fighting a mage boss like, say, the required Magus Sisters.
Yeah, we mentioned that earlier. It's really nice to have a Rune Axe in these times, and now he's probably hoping for some sirens.
Well, you know what we say.
Or Bacchus, actually.
Rune Axe in the hand. Rune Axe in the hand is worth 2 in Sylph Cave.
As a stack of Cure 2s, I think we'd like to see some Cure 3s, or maybe even some Elixirs, if we're not going to get Asura.
Well, I appreciate that both you and Sheep Launcher are holding on to the dream of Ashura, but I am convinced it's not going to happen today. Unless we find her, of course, in a spot, seeing as Ashura is a required boss. So that, in fact, may make her a bit cranky and not so willing to help heal our party today. Meanwhile,
Leviathan. Oh, there's
Cure
a Cure 3. We bought a stack.
10 Cure 3s for BeautyInDiscovery.
We found our White Mage.
Yep. This gives several people the opportunity to play a white mage on TV.
Interesting, though, our biggest HP total characters are staying at home, traditional punch white mages. Sid and Yang, so far not picked up.
Well, meanwhile, over on Eninja's side, you can see that this fight with the Mob Bob's going to be going a little bit faster just because of the nature of those Bacchus wines. The Berserk status means that as soon as Cecil or Edge get their turn, they'll immediately step up to take it. And on top of that, there's a fairly hefty damage bonus that increases the amount of power they can output. I believe, if I remember correctly, Beauty was doing roughly 12 to 1400 damage with his Cecil, and Eninja, of course, doing about 2200. Eninja is through and doesn't have to face the bomb phase. Beauty finds the Earth Crystal, which gives us access to a second boss we couldn't normally reach, and of course the wonderful treasury full of loot. But with all the good things we're equipped with, do we think the runners will go look in the treasury?
Yeah, we're under sub 50 minutes, which is kind of a rule of thumb. Oh, we didn't warn him about the pitfall. That's our bad.
That's our bad. Poor Ninja. That's on us. We're sorry we didn't keep you appraised of the problem.
We saw guards. So is this the guards, or are we hunting a Baron Key today?
Well, we're going to get some information, and this is rather. This actually tells us how much value the Baron Key may or may not have. I will say, though, you mentioned that it's 50 minutes. I'm less concerned about the time and more concerned about the quality. I mean, Edge has almost the best stuff he can't have. Palom has the best weapons he can have. Cecil in his Crystal Sword has the best stuff he can have. And if depending, it doesn't matter which side of the White Spear versus Defense Sword debate you're on with Kain, he has both of them. What else is there that you really want? And we have the required guards here. This is a fantastic place to fight this fight. The guards do not contain what we call the boss bits, so they are subject to all kinds of awful tricks to get through them, including those hourglasses that'll keep them from attacking, minus this first set that they had queued up, and then coffins, which will let us just instantly kill them. And on top of that, Beauty's going to farm some experience with the life glitch. Eninja deciding that the place to be is Dwarf Castle with its 2 bosses and 2 potential key item checks. We, of course, know that there's not going to be a whole lot of value here, but Eninja has to learn the hard way.
One place I'm interested in is, if we haven't been to Tamra yet, what the Tamra item shop has, and if we have been there and it didn't have sirens.
We have been there, it had Cure 3s, it doesn't have sirens. I don't think we've seen the Faymart shop, though. But Tamra is where Beauty found his Cure 3s.
I think we just did we see the shop here? Okay, we're running out of chances. I thought there were either 2s there. Yeah, he warped out. So
well, this is the last shop. If there were not sirens here, Ninja's been to the moon shop. So, we may not have sirens tonight.
No Tella. No sirens for sale. How are you grinding?
Well, I see 2 ways to do it. One of them is to go into the lower Babel and have Edge take sirens, which is time-consuming and slow. The other is, if you feel great about how your power is, you can go up to the moon and have Cecil fight moon bosses. But what bugs me is, my first thought when I don't see a white mage is, I want power overwhelming for the Zeromus fight, because I don't want to see more than that first big bang. I want to be able to take him down. And without easy access to experience, makes it iffy. Meanwhile, BeautyInDiscovery deciding to make the boss check in Sealed Cave and does not want to tango with that Octomam in the King spot. Beauty's in kind of an interesting spot in that he has not found the Darkness Crystal, and the spaces he has left to check for it, we of course know it's in Fabul, but Beauty, how long do you wait to take Fabul? Do you go grab Sheila before that? And how tempted are you to see what that Vigan at Keyless Tower is holding?
Beauty has to be asking questions right now, like, how am I grinding? How am I going to fight Z without Bacchus? Where's the Darkness Crystal? You know, so even though Beauty's a bit ahead right now, there's a lot more questions.
Well, again, that Fabul check that Ninja made in the overworld is starting to loom pretty big, because Ninja has, number 1, got a boss crossed off of his list. Number 2, found those Bacchus wines, which is helping him through these fights. And I think you saw Ninja have a much easier time with that Ogo Pogo due to having those Bacchus wines in hand.
And the Mom Bomb. And it's going to continue to have a better time, especially with harder bosses. Being able to zerk up that Crystal Sword.
And if Beauty also decides he wants to be cheeky and take a look at the harp, that's additional time that Ninja's already taken care of. So, as far in Ninja, if you just look at on the face of it, is a couple of checks behind, but I'm not sure that the difference is quite that big.
And it looks like
Beauty, I think, has made a save mistake.
Yes, we didn't save outside of.
Well, I think we did, but then we accidentally saved over it on our way down.
Oh, we saved over our only save. Yeah, that hits all of us. And now you got to warp your way back out the cave. And at least you're not fighting the boss there today.
Yeah.
And Odin can stay there.
But again, I think if you're sitting in Beauty's shoes, not knowing where that Darkness Crystal is, how much does that mess with you?
Yeah, I mean, right now he's probably feeling really good about the way they played the seed. It's been very clean. But anything like that, you're like, oh, I just lost, 40 seconds or so. So, coupled with what's your grind, where's your white mage? I have no Bacchus wine. There's a lot of things to consider right now for Beauty.
Well, we do have chat pointing out that it could be that Beauty liked that Protect ring that he found as well, but I think based on some of the other gear in this seed, that may not be. That could be a possibility. I'm guessing, though, that the save over could be a bigger problem. But we'll see.
Looks like we are now, though, going to to get our Fable check, get a darkness crystal. Now that we have a pass, so what more are you doing on the overworld before you start face checking?
I'm definitely going up into Earth Crystal to Zot because we have that Earth Crystal and there's 2 bosses up there that we haven't looked at. And there's that old routing efficiency question of if you're already over there, is Beauty tempted to go take a look and see what's in that harp check? Just because we're going to park the ship as close as we can to harp before we go up the tower.
And then just getting close to finding out the news that there are not sirens in the sea, but we might get a check to see professions.
Well, let's see if Ninja wants to talk with Job Dwarf. That looks like, was that an elixir? I see him. No, it's a blizzard spear. Exercise physiologist, Ninja, man of the people, giving us both music check and checking in with Job Dwarf. Meanwhile, Beauty has decided to turn in the rat tail. He's going to find a ninja sword for Edge. And Ninja about to get his next to last opportunity to buy sirens. And sees they're not there and doesn't feel like he needs Cure 3s.
Doesn't buy the Cure 3s. Interesting.
Well, maybe placing a lot of faith in Crystal Sword Cecil to do the big damage.
Yeah, I mean, in theory, if you have enough power, you can get through Z with just the one initial nerve bang.
Well, Beauty and Discovery prioritizing seeing Sheila, and I suspect that the Golbez check is going to be happening pretty quick in here as well. And I feel confident he'll take the fight with Golbez being a required boss.
Oh yes. Anything you're hoping for out of Sheila 1?
Well, the Magma Key, of course. That's probably the greatest item in the history of all free enterprise.
That and the Sad Ruby, they're in close contention. We're a ways yet from Tower Key. Interesting. We're a ways yet from 10 key items, and that 10 key items will help answer some grind options. Like the moon's going to look a lot more appealing for your XP should you have 10 key items. And I see Ninja still has the 2 sirens, so you can get quite a bit more XP if you use your hourglasses with those with the gold dragons. That's going to be 180,000 XP.
With the life glitch, the gold dragons are almost are somewhere in the neighborhood about between 2.5 and 3 times the experience you would get out of the cracking an egg and fighting doing that grind. Meanwhile, Beauty's trying to eliminate as much of his party as possible to speed up this Golbez fight, and Kane putting up some defense there, not wanting to go down. However, Edge is much faster than Golbez, and we are going to get to the point where we can just have the 2 things, and Shadow will not eat anyone on Beauty's party.
Golbez, he keeps telling the same joke, not getting laughed at, and realizes life is better with small audiences. Gives them the time to knock down that really beefy king.
Well, Eninja discovering the guards here. I think he's going to have 2 characters take a swing here, but he should be able to get through this fight without too much trouble. Maybe a little time to life up the party before he goes forward. Interesting to see Rydia still alive here.
Yeah, maybe we'll get some levels on her now.
Well, with that cursed ring, shouldn't be too much of a problem. I mean, you don't want her to get above about agility 10 for berserking for Cecil and Kane at the end, but even if she's up at New Country, that she's only going to be at 25, that cursed ring will knock her down right in the range you want her to be.
Okay, there's Cecil getting up too.
Golbez asking the great existential question and fading away, and meanwhile Eninja about to get his Luca key. And of course Beauty about to find the darkness crystal.
We'll see if we get another Luca check tonight. And we'll see if we do some moon face checking. But I think you're right. I think, well, especially with the key item situation, the lack of grind situation, we want 10. Either go back down to the tower now or the earth crystal for Beauty.
Well, if I can do a little bit of math on stream, which I know makes chat go wild, odds are we're going to find 1 boss on the moon and decent shot of finding 2. finding 3 is a bit of a reach. So how much Earth do you want to look at before you potentially go up there? And that's kind of where I think Beauty is going to have to make a key choice here about how badly he wants to take the time to look at Harp.
Yeah, we're still missing, let's say, 3 gating bosses that we don't need. 2 from the Baron Key and 1 from the package.
Well,
So,
Beauty is indeed electing to go into the Chocobo Forest and to check Harp. Now, we had mentioned earlier that it looked like Beauty's a bit farther ahead just because Ninja had done some extra overworld checks. You're seeing Ninja get a lot of that time back right now. I'm not sure how much of it is, especially because it looks like Ninja is going to take a look at that Octomam, which could have value. We don't know.
yeah, this is interesting. This is going to equalize things a little bit for Ninja. And it makes total sense to do for Beauty because you're going to do the Earth Crystal, do Zot, and another boss check is right there. So makes sense to get 3 bosses here, especially with your power you're going to get through here pretty fast. We know that's not going to play out other than the great tunes of DJ Spoony P.
Yes, well, I do love me some Bard music. Meanwhile, Eninja going to fight this Octomam. Octomam, of course, having a mechanic where as the fight progresses, Octomam will slow down. So if Eninja still has some of those Bacchus wines, that could considerably help him here. Rydia punching for a magical 4 damage. You got to respect that. You know, there's a large contingent of people who love letting Rydia hit things.
Yeah, and that wasn't very nice of Octoman to immediately put her back down. It does make sense. That 4 damage is more useful than you think because Octomam is punching really, really hard here, but will slow down more hits.
Yeah, but again, if Octomam, this is going to be a time-consuming fight for Ninja, but it's going to be a huge risk, huge reward kind of payout, because if something like Baron Key is here, this could be big. Well, we're going to step away one more time and get a reprise of our music from our Bard Edward, so we will see you on the other side. And BeautyInDiscovery, through that fight with Antlion, going to go take a look at that key item, find his life staff, and we'll see exactly how disappointed he is about it. Meanwhile, Eninja has bonked Yong with the pan and is headed up to see Sheila and see what she has for him. And things are a little bit closer.
Bonked Yong with a crystal sword. We don't yet have the pan, but we did,
that's true. Yeah,
we worked for a pan, and also it took a unfortunate wipe to Octo, but I do like that after that bailing, Octo doesn't have that great chance of giving us too much more right now. We only need 3 other bosses, so the percentage plays that we have access to everybody now. Well,
and Beauty for some reason decided not to sit through getting the best in slot item for a white mage for healing. For some reason, I suspect that he's got some other plan for Cecil and letting him work his backup white mage duty.
We see our runners really close now. Beauty going up, Zot, and we'll see if Ninja follows suit.
Frankly, I think the only options that Ninja has left to check right now are there or else lower Babel, and so I suspect he'll be going up the tower.
There's always that looming moon play, but yeah, the tower is a good check here too. Even if you just face check it, it's a boss you can do before going to the moon.
Well, speaking of time-consuming bosses, here is D-Mist. And of course, D-Mist, the first boss in the game, and designed to be weak against darkness, because at that point you have Dark Knight Cecil, is then very resistant to Holy. So this is not necessarily the greatest thing for Crystal Sword Cecil to be faced up against. Cecil can put a lot of power against it, but it's just, it will resist him at every turn.
And we're just slow punching because once again, no Bacchus. So it's going to take a little bit more time here. Oh, Ninja is going to give us a treachery check.
Well, a friend of the people and inviting us to all play everyone's favorite game. A free siren in the treasury for Eninja. Lunar
That's
staff.
Wonderful. With hourglasses. Oh, hey, look at that. It's a holy sword.
Well, unfortunately for Ninja, all the wonderful things that we have in the party are handed to him again in the treasury. Which, granted, the darting for edge is going to be fairly wonderful from some of that, but I'm guessing that was not what he was looking for.
I guess I'll rate that half grind, half elixir white mage out of 10.
Well, our piggy meta showed yellow ears. Could this be our missing Valvalis sitting in a vanilla location? It is not. It's the elements, as Mylon said, rather. Special shout out to our friends from Canada.
Did we see a reset on D-Mist to set up better?
No, we saw a defeat of D-Mist. We were just distracted by all the shiny things in the treasury.
Yes, yes.
Beauty having no problem. That Crystal Sword Cecil is cutting like a hot knife through butter, and the elements fight is over. Beauty, I think, hoping. Pretty, well, Beauty, I think, hoping for a 9th key item to come out of this check, and I think the dream is that it's the Baron key.
If you're doing checks right now here on Earth, I think you're really hoping for some more key items, especially the gating one.
Well, the moon's kind of a hole in your pocket. It's your guide to experience, and you can, if you can make one trip and be done, it's great because you have that pass. Ooh. The pan, well, do you want to go chase it, and do you think about stopping to check that super cannon room on the way?
I think, let's see, are we at 9 key items now? I think I do the tower key now because there's a boss there, and if it gives me 10 key items, no need to check the pan. Especially if it's a Baron key, then you really don't need to take the pan.
So do I hear you advocating for the classic Penguinator special?
Yes, I'm a Penguinator.
Beauty's thinking about sirens. You can see him making motions to potentially go grab a chest. And I think what may be staying him is whether he finds something that is an awful boss that he doesn't want to sit through or is not required. He may just be looking at the boss and resetting out and counting on that either Sheila or the pan check are going to give him something to get him to 10 key items before he heads to the moon.
Yeah, quite a few options here, quite a few chances.
Beauty is going to go take the Baigen.
Full tower play. Interesting. And Baigen no longer going to be that scary, although once again, no berserking here. So,
well,
Go ahead.
No, the most valuable thing you have to help with this Baigen is going to be that Quake off the Palom, because it'll help take his arms down and minimize the amount of damage he'll be taking during the fight. But again, Beauty's got to be wishing that he had Berserk or that he had some Bacchus wines.
Right, because as effective as keeping Quake locked, it's still a little slower than just a Crystal Sword zerking and pulling him away for 4k a pop.
Well, and I always find the amount of hit points on this boss here kind of deceptive in how high it is. It just seems to take a lot longer to chew through than you ever seem to anticipate for it. Just one of those unpleasant spots where... And it's because Dr. Luge was up here, and due to the nature of the randomizer, the 3 forms that he takes are all combined into one single stack of hit points. But it's arm day. We can grind a little bit on the arms. Maybe get a little bonus experience that way.
Lydia assumes her continue position on the ground, and it's arm grind time, as you say.
Well, Eninja taking that safety save before he goes and fights the elements, but I think one swing from Cecil's going to take care of things on his side as well. And then we'll see what Ninja chooses to do. Meanwhile, Waning is again disarmed, and as Beauty tries to work through this check and hopes that there's going to be value up here.
We're getting a grind, but due to the time and the lack of XP, it's a bit of an alarming grind.
I see what you did there, Mike. Oh, that was good. Well, Beauty Cecil hitting for big damage does get this taken care of. We see Stone come up on Palom, which is quite a handy utility spell, especially because that Alt Gauntlet is still looming for us, and only Artemis arrows here, which would be lovely if we had the Sirens, well, and a better bow, frankly. I think the only thing I've seen in Beauty's inventory when he was backward glitching as Cecil was a not-so-great bow.
That could come into play, though. Maybe, let's say, we get, like, I'll do work against, let's say you got a giant Pale Dam. Well, we have some users, so...
Well, you can see Beauty starting to check chests. He is well enough equipped that I don't think he needs the gear. He's looking for that alert so he can steal some Sirens. And Beauty finds just the Water Hag. The Water Hag and the Alt Gauntlet share the same sprite on the overworld. It looks very similar. Of course, we should have known it was just the Water Hag, seeing as there was only one of them. The Alt Gauntlet would show 3 here. You know, the moon is an interesting place to find the Alt Gauntlet, isn't it?
Yeah, you know, there's a lot of locations there, and one of which I saw earlier Ninja calling for, the Massamoon Alter Gauntlet, which has evil mask grind. We found our solution.
Oh, there's evil masks. There are some absolutely terrible dragons in several of those encounters, depending on your flavor, whether you like red or blue dragons. And of course, those come toward the end of the grind of the fight against that. So it's after your party's been weakened. But of course, this party has plenty of. Oh, we have a healing issue with this party. Moon Alt Gauntlet could be a really, really unpleasant time.
I was going to ask you, have you ever tried an Alt Gauntlet at Masa without a Thunderclaw and White Mage?
I've done it without the Thunderclaw. I haven't done it without a White Mage. And, I mean, even with good gear, those spots hit really hard. Eninja, remembering that he has not checked Miss Cave and picking up a boss to get some parity with Beauty and Discovery, he is running probably 1 check behind right now. I think that there's interesting choices to be made, and particularly what Ninja chooses to do with this tower could play big in things. And also, Beauty's hunt for this grind could also be quite interesting.
I'm just not messing around with those orbs. You saw them get tightened down.
Well, Titan is good strength, and we are right by Village Mist. That's the traditional place where you see Titan summoned, so I thought it was thematically appropriate for Ninja to do such a thing. And you see Beauty is knocking most of his party down just to get Edge's turns to come faster to take from this alert. Though there is one other trick here. If you really want to make the Siren steal thing go as fast as possible, you drop an hourglass here so it doesn't stop and scan you every 2 seconds.
Yeah, and with the Siren play, pretty defensible, especially since we're not getting 2, 3, 4. What's it? So, yeah,
we're at 9 key items.
Still, so,
but again, Beauty's going to have 3 opportunities to get a key item. Both what's going to come as he exits here from his super cannon fight, and then what the Sylphs will give him when he goes down to wake up Yong, and then what Sheila 2 may have. So the odds are good he's going to get to 10 key items, and with the limited number of Sirens, I could see Beauty planning, you know what, I've got hourglasses, it's going to take a little bit extra, but why don't we just do those gold dragon fights on the moon, because we only need to summon a handful of them. And does it pay off?
See if we get that 10th key item.
The, oh my gosh, it is what we've been waiting for all night, folks. We have found the magma key, and the way the
underground now. Yay.
Underground is open.
Can hardly wait to hear Lolly Ho.
Mike, I can barely contain my excitement, and it sounds like you're in the same boat.
We did it. We could get underground.
Yep. Well, wonderful times. Well, despite my thought on it, Beauty wants to just crack a couple eggs, and frankly, the usual grind point you're looking for is putting Rosa at Cure 4, and you don't have to worry about that. Of course, Cecil low rolls it, doesn't take his egg out, which Crystal Sword Cecil, you should do better, buddy. Eninja, meanwhile, is going to go take care of the pan, which could potentially put him in front of Beauty with the stop to do the tower and the grinding. Let's see what Eninja finds here.
A Baron key. Now that Beauty has 10 key items, might be less incentivized to turn in the pan. So we get a Baron key or even a package here that could make some interesting divergence.
Well, it's a ninja shirt, which will look nice on Edge and be an improvement over what I think he's wearing right now, but I don't think that's quite what we're looking for here. But I think Eninja maybe... No, Eninja wants to go check that at least the tower key, if not more in the tower.
Alright, so we'll see now if we get a Penguin Eater special. We know that would be a pretty good play, but let's see how things actually go.
Dathis, if you want to turn this restream around, we would sure appreciate it, because after all, baby, you spin me right round, baby.
Like a record, baby?
Like a N64 cartridge.
All right.
Cecil, starting to do a little better with these eggs. Meanwhile, Ninja's starting to loot chests. I think the same thought about stealing sirens is going to occur to him. And so the other question is, how much do you need before you feel comfortable to go? And again, Beauty's going to use every single last siren he has, get that every drop of experience. It looks like Cecil, Kane, and Edge have enough power to each to survive a full Big Bang if necessary. But power
I don't know what...
Go ahead, Mike.
I'm not sure what Ninja has right now for healing. What the plan is. He did spy the Cure 3s. I don't know how much he has right now in his inventory.
He saw them. He didn't buy any, I don't believe.
And just used a bunch of Cure 2s, and then the only 10 I saw in the inventory. So
yeah, I don't think...
It could be kind of low over there. That'll be something to keep an eye on.
And not having camping gear on the bottom of the moon with the number of bosses we have left, and unfortunately, this is not like we're going to come up to the moon and we're going to find something we can cheese our way through. All 4 of our remaining bosses on the moon can be quite obnoxious, and it's really sad to say this. I think of those bosses that are up there, the Magus Sisters are the easiest of it. That's not a very comforting thought.
Yeah, are you excited to fight Val without any other blink other than Image?
Yeah, because I don't think we've seen illusions today yet either, have we? Well, Beauty's had enough.
If so, we haven't seen many bots.
Beauty's had enough of the blue planet, and I mean by enough of the blue planet, I think Beauty has checked every boss location that is potentially available. All we have left is to look at the pan, and Beauty wants to for Sheila too, and Beauty wants to find out what that is. So we are going to do what we can to empty the blue planet first, and we will put off the moon as long as we possibly can. Sheep Launcher pointing out that there are illusions that were available in Barren Town. I don't know if the runners will go back to take a look at them, but it's worth knowing. The pink tail, no value for Beauty there. And to be honest, I'm not sure what you'd see from the tail collector that would make you feel better about what you're holding. So,
yeah, maybe the only thing, honestly, the best thing you could get out of that at this point with crystal swords and all this Hanzo steel would be maybe a moon veil to make a boss free.
Yeah.
Like, you're not going to lose the Val with a moon veil unless you get stone.
Well, interesting choice. I don't know how Beauty's feeling about time.
Yes.
We're an hour and 10 minutes into the seed before we're heading up to the moon. That does feel like a bit of a long time. Do you think Beauty feels behind? And if so, do you think he might skip that shop check? Because those Bacchus wines would be a huge purchase for him.
Yeah, that's interesting because we already got sirens. Don't need those. We've seen hourglasses and coffins and elixirs. The only thing left to really look for is Bacchus. I think he would though, because he's probably tired of manually swinging swords. It's a lot of work.
Well, and it makes a big difference, especially in things like the Z fight and some of the other lower fights. So I suspect he'll go look at it, but if he feels behind enough, oh, Beauty choosing to go to the giant first instead.
Interesting. A giant play.
Interesting.
So this could be a long fight without Bacchus. There's a lot of HP here.
Well, giving Ninja a chance. Ninja, by the way, has finished stealing his sirens and is going to go check out the tower key first. That might be an indication that Ninja does not plan to go deal with that Baigen, which would play in his favor. Baigen and his arty arrows are probably not what Ninja's looking for today. So
right.
Beauty making his way down.
Special play would be pretty solid.
Yeah, that again, it helps Ninja make up some of that time that he spent doing a few other checks. Beauty is also taking advantage of one of the things that is a helpful, knowledgeable heads-up play, and that's that he knows that that first spot in Giant is going to full heal his party. And if you saw because of the walking through the Sylph Cave, everybody left in Beauty's party is sitting at a single hit point, and this is helping Beauty again conserve that camping gear, conserve all those cures, and just get that free heal. So that's going to be a nice benefit for him as he comes into this fight. Eninja having no problem with that water hag. Good.
Like we could have a sisters here, which would be incredibly interesting with this party. We do have mage slaying gear, but we don't have Bacchus or anything other than cure 3s for healing. I don't see how many hourglasses we have, but a gauntlet could be pretty interesting here as well.
I may have spoken too soon. Beauty may have forgotten that there's a free heal coming in for this fight. And we have the element spot. This is an interesting fight. This is a vanilla fight. The elements actually have a fairly large pool of hit points, and if you can take them out quickly enough, there is a refill that you can avoid. However, usually manipulating your way through that involves getting the elements in a low hit point spot, and this is the exact opposite of low hit points.
We do have a couple things working in our favor here. One is the magic is very weak here, so if we get stuck with Ruby for too long, Ruby isn't going to be really blasting us. Also, Ruby is weak to mute mage slaying here, so I think we have a mute dagger. I think we have a look at that dart damage. I think we have a rune axe, so we could potentially get a skip here.
Well, that Curse Cecil is not swinging so well right now. But I would ask you, Mike, how do you feel about having a big old scoop of vanilla here?
Yeah, I feel like maybe Dathus rolled the seed. Well played.
Well, he does it. He does have a reputation for it. I do see that Beauty did take your advice and swapped a Mute Knife onto Edge, which is letting him do some big bonus damage for the mage resistance. But Palom is
so much HP here that even with the Ice 3 and even with the an Ice 3 and a Mute Dagger hitting for 5k still doesn't get a skip the Ruby, unfortunately. So we're doing the whole thing.
Well, I mean, I saw Cecil take 2 swings at that Mylon with a big bonus on it, and then a Fire 3 from Palom that did quad 9s, and we still didn't get out of that Mylon form at the beginning. It is just such a strong fight. And this is one of the last bosses you theoretically face during the game. I mean, you face this one, the one at CPU spot, and then it's time to go visit Ceromus. So this is a long and difficult check, and this is having a vanilla one here does not make it easy. Meanwhile,
we get some physical resistance from Chinazo, so making great use of Palom. You see 3 quad 9 attacks from Palom already.
Well, Eninja spending time with the eggs. I suspect Eninja is going to be done with his grind not too far from the time that Beauty's going to go look at that second boss. If that CPU doesn't have value, we're about dead even.
Yeah, we'll see how Ninja prefers to route. But yeah, like you say, this is going to be a really pivotal point right here, because if it's not value, then our runners will be dead even.
Well, and Eninja has decided to take Rivia up in levels, so I think he's got some sort of plan where he may want to do something with her casting power as we go forward. I will say I do suspect Eninja will go take a look for that Baron Key with that Sheila 2 item. That kind of burns a hole in your pocket with the fact that if you have Baron Key, you're guaranteed access to all the boss spots in the game. But we're starting to run out of places to check. The moon is starting to seem really strong.
To your point, if we get a Baron Key right now, we are in go mode, because this is only 7 out of 8, and there'd be just one boss remaining at the package that we don't have access to.
Well, and we know one of the 3 bosses in Baron is going to be the Kaipo guards, or the officer and soldier rather, Kaipo, or it's from Kaipo, which are no good. Beauty sees that there's the D Lunars, and those are not required. However, Beauty is going to walk this out to keep his experience.
Yeah, not only not required, but pretty dangerous. Even with these levels, if you're just swinging at them, they have high magic damage, they go fast, and without Berserk, Cecil may not be able to go fast enough to get you through it.
Well, Beauty electing to walk it out. Of course, for those of you playing along at home, the warp spell actually works here and will save you a little bit of time walking out of the giant. But Beauty's past that point, and we'll see how soon Ninja feels done with his grind. He has 3 sirens left to go, and I think he's going to put every single one on them to see if he can get Rydia up to nuke, or in spitting distance of it anyway.
A lot of runners may take a fight there just to get the extra XP, and you don't want to walk all the way out. But with the Lunars there, I don't blame Beauty one bit for walking out all that XP, even if it was.
Well, again, Beauty not feeling behind enough to stop him from shopping, and is going to be rewarded by finding those Bacchus.
That will be a breath of fresh air.
And Beauty is a little bit short on cash, but doesn't want to stop and sell any of the extra gear. Yes, he does, actually.
That damage boost, Rydia will be hitting for 5 now.
Well, Edge can only dart so many things, and we have a plethora of defense swords. Alright, so will Beauty do top down or bottom up?
I think we'll get a Bahamut check right here.
Well, off
we
to
go
K
to value, because it always has value. It's K value.
Well, Ninja was done with his sirens, but the very last egg had one more inside of it. So Eninja going to do one more of these checks. I think Palom should be just about at nuke by now.
They're looking at those HP totals. Things look to be just about done for the grind here.
And
with a pass in hand, I do like going to the bottom of the moon here.
Well, there's nuke on
after this check, then boom.
And a war turtle sitting on the Bahamut throne is enough for Beauty to say, nope, I'm going elsewhere. Meanwhile, Eninja feels like moving the hovercraft. I think he's going to go back and chop a little bit more for hourglasses before he goes up to the moon.
Yeah, that could be a big play here, because some of the moon gauntlets can be hourglass.
Well, and I think that's exactly what's on his mind, is having not seen that all gauntlet. I mean, let's be honest, there are 3 spots that are not moon where it could be, and 5 spots on the moon where it probably is. So this is a heads-up play on Ninja's part just to make sure he's a little protected.
I'm a little worried. Did we buy him?
No, we just realized we stopped in. We didn't actually make the purchase. Beauty elects to skip the Murasame altar.
That'll be interesting. So it's going down to that density down below, and I'm a little worried with that Ninja might go to the giant right now, given that the most helpful sirens are for a giant gauntlet.
All right, well, Beauty nearing the bottom of it. Ninja is going to make his decision about the moon, and of course we know the giant is haunted, but Ninja doesn't have the pretty of being able to screen capture on Beauty's and see what's going on, so we'll see the choice. And Ninja looks like he's headed straight for the moon. And again, we're going to pull things a little tighter with that grind. That grind in those levels on Ninja could be enough for him to catch to close the distance with Beauty for the walking and the extra check right now.
And now that we know that Beauty's skipping Mira, Mira could be an inflection point for equalizing here.
Well,
and of course, there's always the possibility that everything is behind something, and that Baron key could have or even a gateway to the package, which one in Baron, one in package.
And we have found the Ashura. She is hanging out at the Wyvern spot behind the Crystal Sword altar. And BeautyInDiscovery has found one of the 3 bosses that are necessary to complete the seed. You know, Mike, you and I were discussing this in the pre-race, but we like watching the randomizer because there are these random things, because it gives us this opportunity. I mean, I'm sure you and I could go play the Pixel Remaster and know where everything is and know what to expect for everything we do. But one of the treasure hunting and fun things about Free Enterprise is that opportunity to be looking for things, to not quite know it, and to have that joy in trying to find where things are. And speaking of which, if any of you out there are watching this video, whether live with us tonight or on a YouTube replay at some point in the future, you should come and check out our Discord. The Free Enterprise Discord is the hub of where this goes on. There are tons of great people to meet. You can actually run in clubs and races with our 2 featured runners tonight. Do all kinds of fun things. We would love to have you. If you've ever thought about trying to play this kind of thing, it is loads and loads and loads of fun.
Yeah, I'm sure Dathis might want everything in the game to be just like the original game, but the randomizing nature of this game is fantastic and provides for great viewing experiences. Like, we still know who's going to win.
Well, and I will also tell you that the community here is probably the best one of the best ones you'll find on the internet anywhere. Just the people here are also wonderful. I see Dathis's CDO is showing. He likes to keep
to be randomized back in the proper order.
Dathis's CDO is showing. He likes to keep the letters in alphabetical order as they should be.
And I, of course, second what you say. Fantastic community. Very welcoming. If you consider, if you're new to FF4FE Enterprise, give it a shot. We're glad you're here.
Well, and we will take you if you've never done a randomizer or anything like that before. I certainly came up from nothing pretty quickly in this group. Eninja finding value at the Murasame altar. There is Valvalis. Beauty, of course, not getting a great key item in the life staff, but he had that boss. But Eninja's about to be back on parity for where we're going. We still haven't seen our alt gauntlet.
Okay, so we're equalized again.
There's a Bahamut that's not required. Beauty has 2 shots to find a boss. Otherwise, then we are still digging for the package or the Baron key. And oh boy, is that interesting if there's somebody back behind the Baron key, especially if there's 2 somebodies. Dark Knight. We have one more chance to find no mode
now
up
that
here.
Dark Knight is usually pretty free, but it's maybe less free than usual.
Well, and could be a problem for Eninja with the fact that he did not buy the Cure 3 potions.
I could see some Kane jump strats potentially.
All right, who's our last lunar boss? It's the alt gauntlet.
So that it is. Oh my gosh.
This is
what the Ninja had asked for this, so interesting.
Dathis, I will remind you that this is not the vanilla location of the alt gauntlet, and I think you misplaced it. For those of you who have not seen this, for Bully, you're attacked by waves of enemies, and the way that we have a flag turned on called the alternate gauntlet, which says that we will take a wave of enemies from whatever's local to the area. So when the alt gauntlet is randomized to a spot of the moon, and this is one of the absolute nastier ones, you grab the enemies you'll find here, and this is the very bottom of the barrel end of the game set of enemies. And I will tell you that there's a couple of dragons at the end of this fight that are especially unpleasant.
And
But
when
yes,
you're fighting these under normal circumstances, you have Rosa throwing Cure 4s. Now we just have single target Cure 3s, and we're gonna meet someone soon called Heat Ray.
yes, with the Jimmy and Jimmy, the brother red dragons. Ninja having an unfortunate wipe against that Valvalis is stopping to restock his Bacchus wine. It's been a long time since that original trip up here to buy some.
Get some more wines, get another shot, and I wonder, I mean, in this situation, would you, Tall Grant, be tempted to maybe see if I can get another path to the seventh boss?
Well, with that Dark Knight and those 2 key items in the ribbon room, that's a really tempting check to make before you get out of here. Though the other side of it is just to leave that safety save up here and go look at the Murasame altar to see if your last boss is there, which we happen to know it is. And then if it's not, reset down and save the time. On the other hand, if you want to, I mentioned power overwhelming for the lack of White Mage in the Z fight. There's 200,000 experience sitting behind that Pain Man, and that is not a terrible long speech about justice to sit through. Flossy Fern, we'd like to welcome everybody who is watching with you to our race. We've got a good one here between Eninja and BeautyInDiscovery with some unpleasantness stuck on the moon.
Yep, we're gonna see Heat Ray in action. That's a lot of damage. But I think we have a ninja shirt on Edge because that's pretty fortunate.
Yep. For those of you who have just joined us, you will notice that the randomized gods today have given us no White Mage. We don't even have a Tella to do the white magic. The only person capable is Cure 2 Cecil, and since he's rocking a crystal sword, he is otherwise occupied right now. But yes, this is the alt gauntlet at the Masamune altar. It is not pleasant, and Eninja also has some unpleasantness with the Murasame altar holding the Valvalis. So, looks like the Ninja Sword altars have decided to be violent today.
Yeah, not much healing for Ninja either. So.
Lachlan is asking, did we ever find Asura? No, I did not see Asura pop up in either of our runners' times. This seed has been all about handing us great weapons and not so many on the other things. But I think I've seen at
the
least
only
Asura
I've seen so far punched us.
But I think we've seen 2 crystal swords, at least 3 Excals, 4 defense swords, 3 Stardust rods, I think 3 life staffs. And there's a spoon. BeautyInDiscovery through the alt gauntlet and some nice darting gear for Edge.
Great job, BeautyInDiscovery, beating the gauntlet at Masa without a White Mage. And I'd like to welcome in everyone coming in from Free Enterprise. Please don't spoil the race. We have a good one going here. We just had a Masa altar gauntlet without a White Mage.
Right, and Eninja is going to have to go deal with that, I think, to get his crystal. We have enough information to know where the bosses are. Beauty has not been to the Murasame altar, where Eninja has just taken out that Valvalis. So Eninja has Ashura, who will be down at the Crystal Sword altar, and then the Masamune with the alt gauntlet left to do, and Beauty has to go find that. But Beauty is kind of gambling, looking for the Baron Key, and is going to sit through the speech of the Dark Knight Cecil. This seed has
see that gauntlet.
This seed has not promoted efficient routing today.
Before
Ooh. It's an interesting choice. The Baron Key's right there.
And there's the Baron Key.
So how motivated is Beauty to check?
If we don't check Mirror right now, and go to Baron, we still could get a comeback here from Ninja if value is behind The Mega Sisters are behind the package.
Well, the Maga Sisters could be there. We really have checked almost everywhere else.
Yep, so Mega Sisters can be either in Baron 2, Baron Basement, or the package. And one runner has the package, one runner has the Baron key. So this is very interesting.
Yeah, and it's an interesting it tightens up at the end. It's kind of, I think we're in for an exciting finish here. We do happen to know the first boss in here is going to be the officer and soldiers, and is not going to be required. Again, lack of camping gear and lack of healing due to our lack of white mage here has been making life a bit miserable for these runners, and I'm sure that they'll both tell us about it once we're done. But I will take one other opportunity to shout out both of these runners. They are both fantastic follows. I've been a viewer of both their channels for quite some time, and they're entertaining places to be, great to interact with you. So if you want to have some people who are genuine, who can talk to you a lot about free enterprise and just put on a good show, I'd recommend you follow them. Eninja's name's right there, Eninja81. He's actually a fairly long-time streamer, and of course BeautyInDiscovery has a channel in that name, but we see him typically under his racing alt of The Queen is Lost. And again, if you'd like to race with them, Eninja is a pillar of the Pink Puff community. You'll definitely find him there. It's a great place for you to join us and do things. BeautyInDiscovery co-captains the Film Friends Club. And if you'd like to read about our clubs, I can highly recommend that you join our Discord and hang out with us. Again, great community and a wonderful place to be.
You'll see both these runners also on the ladder. I know I've been trounced by BeautyInDiscovery on the ladder myself.
Well, and Eninja will come across as pretty unassuming. He's actually fairly smart in watching him approach the mystery seeds on there, where the flag sets do not tell you what's going on. So, like I said, they're both a lot of fun to be around. BeautyInDiscovery to fight the officer and his less than gentlemanly gentleman. And Eninja about to get the bad news about the alt gauntlet, which I would pay to see what he would do on camera for this check.
Hi, I can feel the tables being flipped right now as we speak.
I don't think he's that kind of table flipper. Eninja's usual expression is "That's cute, game." Meanwhile,
he's a great table flipping emote sometimes, but.
Well, after the hard times on the Giant and the Lunar Subterrane, Beauty kind of sandblasts the soup cracker of this boss. Eninja.
Okay, now we're going to get important information.
Eninja was frustrated to run out of Bacchus the first time. We have a Sparkle. That's not going to be it.
Oh, that's not going to be it. So if the basement doesn't have value, I wonder if that puts and Ninja gets through here. That might be advantage Ninja.
Well, that Valvalis fight is not necessarily fast. But yeah, there's Pale Dim. We're paging J-Mac to see if she's available for our sound effects. Not that Pale Dim had an opportunity to actually act. But yeah, this is a bit of a scary spot, especially because if the basement has no value, then that Valvalis is hard required. But Beauty taking the long walk out. I think we've seen every key item here today except for the Adamant Rock, and the Sand Ruby, rather. We've not seen that either. Both runners electing, let's see, Beauty discovered the pink tail and reset out of it. I do not believe Eninja found it.
Okay, well, so here we go. This is very likely to determine the fates of our runners. Who is downstairs in the basement?
This is also a little bit nerve-wracking. We've been at the seed for a while. The routing has been unkind. It's made us walk everywhere. Getting the pan was a huge ordeal. Getting through ordeals was a pain. And our runners have gone to a few places that took a lot of time and did not pay out. That Antlion and the Harp check was just ugly. And we have Dark Imps. There is no value, and our Magus sisters are behind the package check. Beauty is going to have to remember to go check the Murasame altar, and I'm starting to wonder if Beauty's checking key items. I wonder if he's forgotten that he faded that altar.
He's wondering right now what the options are, and if Ninja can get through these dragons, yeah, he's going to be in pretty good shape.
Trying to see where Beauty's headed up for remembering where he parked his whale.
And I think Ninja's, with the package in hand, highly unlikely to go after that DKC and attempt to get the Baron key there. So probably do a package check after this. It's pretty tight though. These dragons are hitting hard. We don't have any ways of healing, and we definitely don't want to see a heat ray.
Well, Beauty has remembered where the open check is, and we know, of course, is going to find that Valvalis. Again, that time in Baron is going to tighten up the opportunity in the seed, and of course, Zemus is not a pushover, especially without that white mage in party. So we've got a fun and exciting finish here.
Ooh, Ninja. Great job, Ninja, getting through the Masa Gauntlet you asked for, and yeah, this could be photo finish here. Let's see what Ninja does. If he checks the package or keeps checking for more key items.
Yeah, if Ninja decides to forego that, and you know, the only other thing that I'm seeing about it is how hard he wants to push to get Rydia up to nuke, which, again, that time save could be a big deal in this Zemus fight.
Especially given that you don't have many ways of healing, right? This is just a...
Well, Ninja is unfortunately out of camping gear, and with the party down in that bad of space and his lack of cure items, he's going to have to come up here to do something to get rest. And I think Ninja's going to go take his time. Ninja's going to go check the package. Oh my.
Yes. And we'll find the Mega Sisters there. And you know, when I'm tired, I sometimes like to sleep in giant amphibious mammals.
Wait. Excuse me, do you think he's checking package? Ninja has not done giant yet either. That could be on his mind, but no, he's getting out. Oh my word.
He hasn't checked. Forgot about he hasn't checked giant, but it looks like we're going to get a package check here.
The Ashura is on the Crystal Sword altar, and it is it's not a terrible check, but it did take some time. Ninja is going to go find where we happen to know that by process of elimination the Magus Sisters are. Meanwhile, BeautyInDiscovery through the Valvalis fight and about to get his crystal. BeautyInDiscovery should be in the Zemus fight. There's a 2 minutes cutscene to look through, but this is going to be very tight. Wow, what a
pretty
seed.
Equal power options for Z. Yeah, this has been a great race by both runners. I hope both runners feel like they won today, because I feel like they did. And that Masa, both of them getting through without a white mage first try. I don't think I do that.
We may have one other equalizer. I think BeautyInDiscovery has forgotten what the starting item was for our seed, because we were handed a pass at the very beginning an hour and 40 minutes ago, and an awful lot has happened since then. But Beauty's going to equalize the race by walking down. Wow.
Yeah, this is going to almost perfectly equalize this race.
Yeah, and now it's going to be who can do the Z fight more effectively. What a seed.
Without a white mage. Again.
Yeah.
So, I mean, now there's important things to consider. Where's the counter nuke going? How many times are we going to nerf Big Bangs? How many do we see?
Does it make a difference?
Do you know Beauty has some more tier 3s?
Mm-hmm. Well, and will it make a difference that Eninja leveled up Rydia and Beauty did not? Well, exciting times, exciting finish.
I don't know that Rydia's going to...
Go ahead, sir.
I don't know that Rydia's going to have too much value in this fight, other than you don't have to bring her back to life, possibly after the first nerf Big Bang, if you're going to try to nerf 2 of them. So that saves a little bit of time, and with the race this close, that little bit of time could be very important.
Well, there's Eninja going to make quick work of the 3 Magus Sisters, and with the walk down, I think we're going to see Beauty in the fight maybe 15-20 seconds in front. it's going to be who can do the Z fight.
What fight are you referring to? And why are there Z flags in chat?
Well, I should mention, this is a randomizer, and despite Dath's best efforts, the bosses have been scattered throughout the seed, but the one boss we can't move is Zemus. He's big, he's evil, he has a long, nasty script, and he has a habit of making life miserable. So we have to leave him at the end of the game. He's the big bad, and that's how it plays. But since we're doing a randomizer, we have to do fun things with him, so we will randomize him from a pool of almost 600 sprites. And we never quite know who we're going to fight. So as we come in here to the bottom of the moon, and for its glory, we must ask, whose butt are we going to kick tonight?
And ancillary questions like, is cute? Does butt have hat? Can it help me with my 401k?
And of course, will it be that Live Alive sprite that Scala Kitty loves so much? Which I think actually has 5 sprites in the pool. And we have a shake.
So we have Beauty in the fight about a minute and a half ahead or so, and Tempting Silk. And Ninja's going to take this at battle speed 3. Without a white mage, this becomes a bit more of an adventure than your typical Z fight.
Well, here we go. Here is Zemus' true colors, and as predicted, Ninja about 20 to 30 seconds behind.
I guess we could get double vanilla with Zemus.
Well, if you like your Final Fantasy 13, I believe this is your boss. At least I think
they have hats. Lots of hats.
Oh, it's Kingdom Hearts, my apologies, but there's 13 of them. That Cecil with that sword going to work. Beauty is saying, I do not want to see a second Big Bang tonight. In fact, with that kind of damage, yeah, I will not put that evil on Final Fantasy 13, LSL. My apologies. But big damage coming out here. Very exciting. And
yeah, this is a knock him down, burn him out fight.
I don't think either runner actually found silk webs, hence that lightning bolt from Rydia is intended to actually help nerf some of the damage coming out from Zemus. Beauty electing not to do too much more darting with Edge and just getting started with the Bacchus Wine.
That nuke, reflected nuke, is going to help too. This damage is coming out fast and furious.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that slight bit of advantage in time might be enough for Beauty, but there's a lot of Zemus fight, and he likes to do unpleasant things. So, you know, until you get that crack boom, you can't put anything. You can't count any of your chickens.
Exactly. We could, I mean, with this kind of damage output, we could run into a wombo combo as well, where we see both a Big Bang followed by rocks. Might skip it though. This damage is pretty fierce.
Yeah, this is what you want to have with the no white mage parties. You want to have so much damage that Zemus just will not have time to really take you down. And I mean, we're kind of in the territory now where a full Big Bang rolled could take a Cecil out. He's just taken the counter nuke and has had bad things happen. So you want to just keep him going as much as possible. But again, with his amount of damage and those Bacchus wines are playing in pretty huge right now.
Yeah, that might have been. This has been a very close race.
Oh, this has been a fantastic race, and kudos to our runners. Eninja taking a fairly nasty full Big Bang, and we see Rocks on Beauty's side. He is less than 12,000 hit points from completing the race and winning the seed. Or completing the seed and winning the race.
I agree.
And there it is.
See a crack. A bang.
Well, and with a time of 1 hour, 45 minutes, and 56 seconds, your winner is BeautyInDiscovery, who joins us live now. GG's, Beauty.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate it. What a slog of a seed.
Oh, that, it was entertaining watching you go everywhere. I've got to ask the burning question, though, that Mike and I were discussing.
No.
Do you remember what the opening item given to you at the start of the seed was?
Oh, heavens. Oh, was it the pass to start?
It was.
Yes.
You know, I sat there and I don't know if you caught it. I did try to look through my inventory and see, but I was just kind of panicking a little too much. You know, I think this is one of the catch-22s of auto trackers because the pass isn't a key item. The auto tracker doesn't pick it up, and I didn't take the time to mark it. And once you know how much that bit me in the butt.
Well, considering Ninja came into the Zemus fight less than 30 seconds behind you, that
Wow.
really tightened the race at the end. Just really crazy. Well, so give us some of your thoughts. What did you think of the seed? What was your thoughts and strategy? And then I think Mike and I have a couple other questions.
You know, it felt really good going into Hook. You know, entering Evelyn Cave sub 30 felt pretty fantastic. Had a crystal sword, you know, had at least, you know, a few things going in there. And then once I got underground, that's when it turned into a really bad game of hide and seek. Started running around, wasn't finding too many gated key items, was really a pretty big bummer to not pull anything out of Harp or really out of Earth Crystal either. And by the time I was going to the moon, I was a little panicky, and that is a little bit why I forgot the Murasame altar. I ran past it on purpose, and I told myself when I exit out, I'll go check it again, but I want to go for density down in the lower half. But then I just plumb forgot about it because I was so excited for a Baron key. I mean, Baron has value, right? But just drift of value tonight. So, you know, it turned into a little bit of a game of seek, kind of lost my cool and made some poor choices, but, you know, got lucky enough to pull it out in the end.
I'm not sure it's so much luck
question
as
I
skill.
had is,
Go, Mike.
how do you feel about all gauntlets without a white mage? At most?
You know, I think that was essentially just Bacchus and pray. You know, it's like drink the wine and hold on tight, you know, and I feel I essentially got lucky I had the levels. If I had gone up there pre-ground or before the grind or didn't have the levels, that would have been an absolute disaster considering how close it was. You know, I think the only way getting through that was just being completely almost over leveled like I was and making sure I had that Cecil at the top slot so you can get the Bacchus wine off early. So, you know, the funny thing is I actually called it in the race room before the race. Eninja was talking about, oh, is this going to be a dumpster fire? And I joked about a required alt gauntlet at the Murasame or Masamune, and I got my wish.
Well, speaking of other dumpster fire issues,
That's what you guys talking about.
how is your grind plan impacted going into the seed?
Grind, you know, I think as soon as I saw Tella, I'm like, whew, you know, no D machine, that's fantastic. Didn't find sirens, but had the edge, and I've kind of learned through practice you don't need too many to really get going, especially when you have Crystal Sword Cecil. So I was kind of fishing for that 10th key item, and thankfully pulled it out from the tower key, and immediately was just like, okay, that's it, boom, just let me burn through these sirens, get the levels, and then I'm off to the moon. Kind of perfectly lined up because I was just about all of my checks outside maybe Leviathan. And going, I guess, and turning in Sheila too. No, I did do that. I reset out of it. So, you know, I think it was really lucky to remember that you could sneak from Edge. I think the only thing I wish I wouldn't have done is left a Mad Ogre chest and snuck a couple Bacchus wines, but got lucky in the end when I pulled some from the Hummingway shop.
Well, fantastic.
So
Mike.
you're
Okay,
moving
Mike.
on. You're going to round 5. How are you feeling about your next opponent? And things don't get easier in these tournaments as you go forward.
No, I really got to tighten it up. This is the second seed in a row, second race. Unfortunately, I have faded a required check. You know, last one against Zoe, it was that sealed cave, and this one it was that Murasame altar. So definitely got to tighten it up. Maybe jot a couple notes to myself to remember some of these things and be a little more thorough because I got to, you know, to keep going. I need to be a little bit better. So a little nervous going forward, that's for sure.
If I may point out one other interesting fade, why did you choose to leave Fabul until after you had done the underground?
You know, I've thought about that. I think with this flag set, a lot of people like to do Fabul early. But when I found the hook and I didn't have Atella that would really benefit from something like an early darkness crystal that could be there, that could lead to a D machine grind. I thought to myself, all right, well, I'll just save it for Sheila 1. You know, I knew I was going to do it when I went back up overground, or to the overworld, and I knew usually I have a couple of things, in this case the harp, the earth crystal, and so I just decided to route it in a little bit later.
Yeah, and in a race this close, that could have been the difference maker. Time you saved.
Yeah, absolutely. It's an interesting fade, I think, especially in this flag set, but made the choice and thankfully didn't pay for that one.
Well, I think that's all that I have for Beauty.
33 minutes down through the hook.
33.
I just want
Wow.
to really, I was impressed with your run. I hope you felt good about it. Even with some of the issues you talked about, you still played good enough to advance to round 5, which is really deep in this tournament. So kudos to you.
Thank you very much, appreciate it. And you know, GG's again to Eninja. What a nail biter came down, and I got to give a shout out to all of y'all as well. Dathis on the restream, Sheep Launcher pushing the buttons, Mike, and Tall Grant for calling the race. Hopefully it was entertaining. It sounds like it was.
It was really a wonderful race,
We had a
Beauty,
great
and
time.
yeah, GG's.
All right, thank you so much. Y'all have a good rest of your night.
Well, that's your winner, Beauty and Discovery. I believe he's matched up with Locke, but we have the joy get to talk to Eninja. Eninja, GG's on a well-run seed, sir.
Yep, thank you very much.
So tell us a little bit about what your experience was like and what you thought of the seed.
It was interesting. Why another Ogo Alt Gauntlet? I have no idea.
Well, it was certainly ugly. So tell us a little bit about that early moon play, 'cause it's not one I've seen often, but it seemed to pay off quite handsomely for you.
Yeah, I basically went to get. I went up there to check the shop just real quick. It had boxes, so I was like, okay, that could make something in the hook route a lot easier to do. And when I saw Mom there, it's like, oh, Crystal Sword Cecil, Bacchus, good time.
You were really applauding that play in the booth. Those early Bogguses allowed you to make up a lot of time, like on Mom Bomb and Ogo.
Yes, I know.
Well, and I also have to really applaud some of your decision making because that package play at the end just paid off so beautifully and
yes.
saved you so much time.
Yes, I'm a big fan about the package play because I did it against Tana and it paid off for me. So that's why I did it again.
I also got to say, you were a man of the people during almost all of the seed because all the things that we as audience members love to see, opening the treasury, checking on job dwarf, doing music as soon as possible, you were right there every time.
Yeah. I think I also did Twin Harp and it was nothing, so I just reset out of it.
Well, and you also did a very, what turned out to be intelligent play to Fade Beauty. If you didn't like that life staff that came from the Twin Harp, I'm guessing you wouldn't have liked the one that Baigen gave on top of Tower either.
Nope, I went half Tower. Yep, I just went half Tower. I was like, no, not required.
Well, unfortunately,
I think your routing was amazing. Oh yeah, Ninja, your routing was so good. Every decision you made was paying off. You did a Penguinator special. You stated the giant that ended up being the right play. The package check.
Yeah.
I hope you feel really good about your run and getting to a game 4 and then beating the gauntlet at the Moss Altar without a white mage.
Yeah, I
really,
mean,
well played.
Yeah, I feel really good about my thing.
Well, and this was a dumpster fire of a seed.
Thank you, Dathis.
Well, unfortunately, this is the end of your journey through the Blue Moon, but what's next for
Yep.
Eninja? What can we expect to see from you?
I don't know. I'll probably maybe come the next season, probably get into the latter season. I've been exploring a couple more randomizers and a couple other things. I don't know.
Well, we hope to keep seeing you on here.
We'll look
'cause-
forward to seeing you wherever you're at.
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely awesome. Do you have any final thoughts on the seed?
No. I just want to thank people behind the scenes, Dathis on the restream, Sheep Launcher pressing the buttons, not eating the buttons, and you, Tall Grant, and Mike on comms.